Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie. Let's talk about money. So today we're going to talk about student loans. And we're going to talk about student loans because overall, as a nation, there's a total federal student loan balance of $1.64 trillion. $1.64 trillion. We're just hanging on to and just won't let go of these student loans. And this can be very draining. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So on average, and this was a literal Google search that I looked for, is how much is the average student loan for the average American, okay? So the average American student loan borrower owes approximately $38,375, which, with all of the borrowers around the country, add those all up, and that's where you come up with the $1.64 trillion that is owed in student loans. Now, the majority of these are federal student loans. I believe one of the articles I saw said like 92% of all the student loans are federal student loans and not privately held. So mostly the federal government has got these loans just wrapped around our fingers and just holding us back. Okay. So these are alarming numbers to me, mostly because I don't believe in debt, but also because that's a lot of money for a young student. If you're 20 or 21 years old and just graduating out of college, and you have a debt already of more than $38,000, and you haven't even started a career yet, most likely, that's just defeating. And so this got me pretty interested. And of course, I went to Ramsey Solutions to figure out how we're going to get rid of this debt. And so first, I did another Google search to see what the average interest rate is on the standard federal student loan. So the average interest rate on these debts is said to be about 6.53%. Obviously, it's an average, so obviously some will be much less, some will be much more. That's obvious because it's an average. But the average is 6.53% on each of these loans. So what I wanted to know is how quickly or how much is it going to cost us to pay these off? Because, of course, the longer it takes you to pay off, the more interest you're paying. So you could be doubling the amount that you're paying because you've let it string out for 10, 15 years. So the interest just keeps building. It doesn't stop. It never stops. You'll be in forbearance. I think they allow forbearances just a couple years out of school. But then when you're 50 years old, you're not getting any more forbearances. Why are you still holding on to that loan? It's not getting you anywhere. Get rid of it. So if our student loan was the $38,375, and we paid just $300 per month on this loan, you're going to pay approximately $27,000 in interest. And more importantly, perhaps, it's going to take you 18 years to pay it off. That's not good news. I don't want an 18-year-old loan hanging out in my backyard or in my closet. That's ridiculous. That's having a child. And it's funny because Dave Ramsey always talks about Sally Mae has moved in. Well, literally, if you're there for 18 years, literally Sally Mae has moved in. So if you do, I didn't look at what the minimum payments are on such loans because I don't know. I paid off my student loans in 2000 and it must have been like 2014 or so, 13 or 14, something like that. I didn't have a lot because I worked at the store, the bookstore at the school, which helped pay for a lot of the debt. I also worked on the school's newspaper, which again helped to pay off a lot of the debt. Or not, it wasn't debt because they would give me credits for working. So that would pay off what I owed the school. So that was helpful. But I still had student loans nonetheless. I still signed up for student loans and I still use them in order to get through school. I would recommend any child that's thinking about college to find a different way. I didn't apply for a whole bunch of grants and scholarships because I guess I thought I wasn't smart enough. And I just went on the Department of Education to see what kind of grants and scholarships they have. You can find a grant and a scholarship that'll give you some money, even if it's just $500. If you got 10 loans or 10 scholarships that are worth $500, that's $5,000, right? So those $500 scholarships are still worth a lot because that will save you in the end. That $5,000 can lower your payment, can lower how much time you're going to spend on these loans. So again, if we paid just $300 per month, which seems like a lot to me, but anyway, $300 per month on this loan, we would pay $27,000 in interest, and it would take you approximately 18 years to pay off. Now, if we started on a on a Dave Ramsey snowball plan, and we were able, let's say this was our only bill, our only debt, and we were able to put $500 toward this loan every month. If we paid $500 per month every month, you will pay only $11,314 in interest, which is less than half as if we would have paid $300 a month. So paying $500 a month helps to pay less interest. So you're paying less than half of interest if you put $500 a month instead of $300 a month. And perhaps the bigger benefit is that you would only be paying for 8 years versus 18 years. So again, 8 years is less than half the time it would take if you were only spending $300 a month on this loan. Now, 8 years is still a lot because we should be able to pay off a loan within 3 to 5 years on average. But you have to be gazelle intense. And so maybe you're not gazelle intense, but you can afford $500 a month. If you do this, you will save so much time and so much energy and so much money. You're saving over $16,000 in interest. You're saving 10 years of time of paying on this. And that's payments. When you've paid off your student loan, the amount that you would have paid towards your student loan, you could then move and put toward an investment account instead. And then you could be making money instead of spending money. But that's just me, I guess. So, student loans are serious. And majority of people who go to college, honestly, they have student loans. And that's the way it works. We should plan our lives a little better. And if we have children, try to help our children so that they don't have to get a loan. If we are the child, we need to work and pay for your school as you go instead of depending on student loans. Student loans will dig you into a hole you will not get out of. It is ridiculous. There are people that are 60 years old and still paying on student loans. It's ridiculous. I mean, maybe not 60. Maybe that's a little extreme. But what I found, so I kept searching because, once I got into this, I was all curious because it's too much money. It's too much money that we're giving away. So then I looked to see, because there are many different degrees you can get. You can get an associate's degree, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate, I don't know what is there something beyond a doctorate? I don't know what it is. It's too smart for me. But so what I looked up was the average amount owed on the different levels of student loans. So first was the associate's degree. So for an associate's degree, the borrowers with an associate's degree as their highest level of education have an average federal student loan debt of $20,340. And this is for an associate's degree. Now, when I went to college, when I was a little bit older. I didn't just graduate out of high school. I was 4 years out of high school? And I first just planned on getting my associate's degree. That's what I was going to do. So that's what I signed up for, and that's what I did. I got my associate's degree first. Then I got married. Then we moved to Minnesota, or moved back, I guess, to Minnesota. And then I went back to get my bachelor's degree. Now, bachelor's degree attainers have an average federal student loan debt of $29,550. And so this is for someone who started off with no degree at all and went up until they finished with their bachelor's degree. I did it in 2 different sections, so I'm not going to add the 20 plus the 29. That's not that. But this is for someone who went straight through to get their bachelor degree. $29,550 on average. Okay? That's a car. You could actually buy a new car for that price. $20,000, I don't think you can buy a car. Maybe you could if you find a cheap enough one. $29,000, you could definitely buy a new car. It would not be a fancy car, but it would be a car nonetheless. It'd be brand new nonetheless. So you could buy a car, or you could buy the student loan, which I guess the student loan is more valuable because it's almost an asset, right? Because you're getting value out of it. But anyway, Lastly, I looked at the graduate degree. Now, I am not a student at heart, and so I just don't have interest in trying to get a graduate's degree. Maybe if I had a career that required it or that I was really into, maybe that's, something you'd be interested in. If you're trying to be obviously a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or what have you, graduate degrees are important and are sometimes required. So the average graduate degree holder owes up to $102,790 in cumulative federal student loan debt. $102,000. That is more than some houses. I bought a house that was less than that. Okay? So that is crazy. Now, of course, if the plan is not to go to school for 6 years, 8 years, and then not get the career that you went to school for. So if you plan on being a lawyer and you go to school for 6 or 8 years or 10 years, however long it takes you, the idea is you're going to graduate, you have your degree now, and you're going to get your career going, get your job, get your money. You're going to be paid more than $100,000 a year or whatever, and you'll be able to pay back your student loan. Most people don't do that, though. Most people don't do that, which is why we have a $1.64 trillion student loan debt across America. So my thing for you to remember, or what I would like you to remember, is it is best to pay off all of your loans as quickly as you can. The quicker you do it, the less you have to do it. Okay? So if you are gazelle intense for 3 years and you pay off that loan, you don't have to worry about the loan for the rest of your life. You have the rest of your life to do what you need to do. Versus if you just struggle through and pay $100 a month. When I did this search, I started off searching at $100 per month. It would take 100 years to pay off a $38,000 loan if I paid $100 a month. 100 years. Who has 100 years? None of us are going to be 100 years old. I mean, maybe with all the technology these days, who knows? But that's not realistic. Pay off your loans as quickly as possible. I definitely encourage you to visit Ramsey Solutions website. They have a student loan calculator as well as any other budgetary calculator you might want to look at to see how quickly or what it takes to pay off your student loan. What you can do is you can change the amount of your payment to see how that adds or subtracts from the time it's going to take you to pay off your student loans. So I encourage you to take a step toward figuring out how you're going to get out of debt if you have student loans. Student loans are great if you use the career. Student loans are not great no matter what. That's a lie. The knowledge you get out of college is fabulous if you use it in your career or you use it throughout your life. Most people, however, don't do that. I am finally back in a position where I'm using my degree somewhat. But I was in school so many years ago. I was in school in 90. When did I graduate? 2000 and I don't remember when. 2005 or 6 or something like. So many years ago, I don't even remember what I learned in school. So don't do that. Don't waste your life like that. If you go to school, pay it off. Pay it off while you're in school. Pay it off immediately after getting out of school. Don't wait. Don't let it hang out. Don't let it move into your back bedroom. Okay? Don't let it happen. Use the Ramsey Solutions calculator to see how quickly you can pay off your loans. And remember to invest in yourself today so you can make a difference for others tomorrow. I thank you so much for stopping by. Please do give the video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you should hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. I thank you so much for stopping by. Y'all have a great one.